The North Atlantic feels calm on this April night in 1912. RMS Titanic cuts steadily through icy waters beneath a clear, silent sky, creating a dangerous illusion of safety. Throughout the day, ice warnings arrive by wireless, yet navigation continues almost unchanged. Just before midnight, the combination of an unusually calm sea, the absence of waves, and total darkness drastically reduces the chances of spotting an iceberg in time. At 11:40 p.m., a pale mass appears dead ahead. Too large, too close. In the minutes that follow, every decision made on board will determine the fate of the largest ocean liner ever built. Before we reconstruct the exact sequence of impact and sinking, like the video, subscribe to the channel and join this step-by-step analysis of the night that changed maritime history forever. RMS Titanic moves through the North Atlantic like a floating city of light surrounded by darkness. On the upper decks, passengers enjoy the stillness of the night, while the crew maintains its routine watch. Speed remains steady, reflecting confidence in the ship's design and in the seemingly favorable sea conditions. Below deck, the Titanic's motion depends on non-stop, synchronized labor. The intense heat of the boilers clashes with the freezing cold outside, keeping the ship at high speed. Unseen by most on board, these same conditions create a perfect storm for failing to detect ice ahead. Throughout the afternoon and evening, Titanic receives multiple ice warnings from nearby ships. The messages report ice fields and large bergs directly along the planned route. They are logged, but they do not lead to a significant reduction in speed or a major change of course. That night, the ocean is exceptionally calm, with no waves breaking against the ice. This eliminates the white surf that usually gives icebergs away at a distance. For the lookouts, the horizon becomes one continuous black surface, making early detection nearly impossible. Despite the warnings and the unusual conditions, Titanic continues at nearly full cruising speed. Confidence in the ship's design and the crew's experience outweighs caution. That choice sharply reduces reaction time if an obstacle appears ahead. Just before midnight, Titanic enters waters already known for ice. The sea remains smooth as glass, offering no visual clues of danger. High above the deck, the lookouts rely solely on direct sight to detect anything on the horizon. At 11:40 p.m., the lookout spots a pale shape ahead and strikes the bell, then phones the bridge. The distance is too short for a wide maneuver. Hard rudder is ordered, engines are reversed. Within seconds, Titanic begins to turn as the iceberg grows rapidly in view. With the helm hard over and engines responding, the ship starts to swing, but there is no longer enough room. The bow clears the ice by only a few yards, while the starboard side continues forward. The iceberg scrapes along the hull, unseen from the bridge. The impact is not a crash, but a sustained shudder, metal flexing and tearing below the waterline. The iceberg does not tear open a single gaping hole. Instead, it causes a series of deformations along the hull. Steel plates bend beyond their limits and rivets fail at critical points. Water begins entering unevenly, spreading across several forward compartments. Below deck, the crew quickly realizes this is no minor damage. As water continues to pour in, watertight doors are activated to isolate the forward sections. Engineers and officers begin rapid inspections to assess the true extent of the damage. Early reports show flooding in more than one compartment, beyond what the original calculations allowed. If you want to see how this information reshaped critical decisions on board, stay with this step-by-step reconstruction. Inspections push deeper into the lower decks, revealing that the flooding is not confined to a single area. Successive compartments show independent leaks, pointing to structural failures along the hull. Reports confirm that the number of flooded spaces exceeds what the ship was designed to survive without a loss of stability. With the data compiled, the scale of the damage becomes undeniable. Water advances through consecutive compartments, overwhelming the ship's ability to contain it. Calculations show that as the bow sinks, water will spill from one compartment to the next. From an engineering standpoint, the process is irreversible. From here on, time becomes the only variable left. Final assessments confirm that 5 forward compartments are compromised. The design allowed the ship to stay afloat with up to 4 flooded. Beyond that, stability is lost. As the bow sinks, water cascades forward compartment by compartment. Technically, there is nothing that can stop it. With the flooding confirmed, priorities shift away from saving the ship. The bow's angle increases steadily, affecting corridors and staircases. Officers acknowledge that the pumps cannot keep up with the incoming water. Operational focus changes. Prepare the decks, organize resources, and begin evacuation procedures. Around midnight, the bow's downward tilt becomes noticeable on deck. The sea remains calm, but the darkness and bitter cold make every movement harder. Officers quietly prepare the lifeboats. To many passengers, it still appears to be a precaution, not yet a race against time. Around midnight, the bow's downward tilt becomes noticeable on deck. The sea remains calm, but the darkness and bitter cold make every movement harder. Officers quietly prepare the lifeboats. To many passengers, it still appears to be a precaution, not yet a race against time. On deck, many passengers hesitate to board. The ship still feels stable, the lights remain on, and the sea is calm. For some, stepping into a small lifeboat seems riskier than staying aboard a massive liner. That hesitation leads to the first boats being lowered partially filled as precious time slips away. As more boats leave the ship, the bow's angle becomes impossible to ignore. The deck no longer feels level, and the cold intensifies with the steady wind. Passengers begin boarding with less resistance, while the crew speeds up procedures. Evacuation remains orderly, but now driven by the clear realization that time is running out. With the bow sinking continuously, the deck develops a pronounced slope. Walking now requires effort, and passenger flow around the boats increases rapidly. Unlike earlier, empty seats are rare. The ship's soundscape changes. Structural creaks, escaping steam, and water reaching once dry areas all signal that the window for escape is closing fast. As the bow drops lower, water begins reaching higher areas of the ship. Passageways once dry turn slick, and internal sounds shift noticeably. Pumps run at their limits, steam vents violently, and the hull responds with constant stress noises. On deck, evacuation accelerates under mounting pressure, driven by unmistakable signs that the sea can no longer be held back. With the angle growing steeper, crossing the deck becomes increasingly difficult. Evacuation continues almost without pause, and the lifeboats now leave fully loaded. The ship's sound is constant and uneven, water, steam, and strained steel blending together. Areas once accessible are sealed off quickly. The crew keeps the flow moving, but it's clear the margin of safety is nearly gone. With the bow deeply submerged, systems begin failing one by one. Lights flicker across different sections, while metallic sounds echo through the stressed structure. The steep angle turns stairways into obstacles. Steam escapes from technical spaces as the last boats are prepared, signaling that centralized control is rapidly unraveling. As the bow sinks further, electrical failures spread across the ship. Entire sections fall into darkness, leaving only isolated pools of light. The angle now prevents normal movement, forcing people to cling to rails and fixtures. The final lifeboats are prepared under extreme difficulty, as the roar of water and metal dominates everything. With the bow completely underwater, the ship reaches a severe angle. Electrical power fails intermittently, plunging entire sections into darkness. Movement becomes nearly impossible, forcing everyone to crawl or brace against fixed structures. The last lifeboats are released under precarious conditions, as structural stress reaches critical levels. With the bow fully claimed by the sea, the stern rises sharply into the air. The ship's structure is pushed far beyond its design limits, producing constant cracking sounds along the hull. Pipes rupture, steam escapes, and the immense weight forward creates opposing forces between the ship's sections. At this moment, Titanic ceases to function as a single structural body. After the ship disappears, the ocean returns to an almost unnatural stillness. Only floating debris and scattered lifeboats remain in the darkness. As the night stretches on, faint lights appear on the horizon, ships answering the distress call. Hours later, Carpathia reaches the site, beginning the rescue of survivors and closing the final chapter of the night of 1912.